Today on Hampton Roads Business Weekly, adding video to your social media presence. Plus, you have a product, but what are the keys to a successful launch? We have this and more next on Hampton Roads Business Weekly that starts right now. Hello and welcome to Hampton Roads Business Weekly, a look at the businesses and entrepreneurs making a difference in Hampton Roads. I'm Cheryl Tan. Zach Miller will join us later on in the show. We begin today with video. It can be a huge boost to your social media presence, so here are a few tips before you start rolling the camera. If you're sitting around with your company leadership trying to figure out how to expand your reach, chances are you're talking about video. And we're going to talk about video and how to make good video with Vanessa and Mark Lane, the owners of View It Do It, based in Norfolk. Okay, so video is your business, especially live streaming. What, in your opinion, makes good video that people respond to, people share, people engage with, and it works for a business?
One of the things for us that we've noticed, and we've done around 200 events in the last year or so, is there has to be something that's interesting to watch, like activity. So a crowd or a band or any number of things like that. But it can't just be a static scene. You can't have a camera showing the street with traffic because people aren't going to watch. And they like to be in the middle of it. They like to actually feel like they're there, even though they're looking at it on their phone or on their laptop or something like that.
And it has to be, I find that more people are engaging with content that's more behind the scenes. It's things that they can't normally see that they'd love to get knowledge about, you know, like from the standpoint of, you know, behind the scenes with a chef. People would love to see what's going on behind the scenes because most of the time he's busy during the course of the day, but if you can get content where someone isn't normally there, they find that very intriguing.
Now you started something new regarding the kitchen, behind the scenes world, and I want to hear about how that is playing out, how people are responding to that.
So with our company View It Do It, we started something called Kitchen Ambush. It is a live social media broadcast. We only push to Facebook, to Instagram, to YouTube, and we do it all live. And that's what makes it unique, is we go into a local restaurant, we give them a local secret ingredient, and then we give them roughly 15 minutes to cook. And it's all live.
So let's say people are at home and they want to start using video.
Right.
Maybe they want to dabble on their smartphone.
Right.
Maybe they want to do Facebook Live.
Right.
What is successful? What have you seen works? You have all the great equipment, but they're working up to that.
So again, short content, less than 5 minutes. If it's longer than 5 minutes, people are going to tune out unless it's super engaging. I mean, once you've got followers, you can go as long as you'd like because people will listen to you. The other thing is lighting is a big factor because the phone has a very small sensor. You have to make sure where you're setting up, where your phone is set up, that there's adequate lighting. And another big thing is having some stability for your phone. Don't hold it with your hand.
Don't jiggle. Come on, you're killing us.
Selfie sticks are everywhere.
Because that's what also makes what we do professional, is we have the gear to hold all the cameras and it's steady. So another thing that you can do for yourself is get an iPhone holder. Get it mounted somewhere, and that way you have your lighting, you have your mounts for your iPhone, and then you're just looking at decor behind you. What is behind you? What is in the shot before you go live?
Make sure you have good microphones because it makes a huge difference. And think about what you're going to do. Script it out ahead of time. When you go into a production, we spend days ahead of time planning what's going to happen, what might happen differently. The phone is going to ring in the middle of your broadcast. You're going to have to redo it. If you're live, you can't redo it. So plan ahead and think about those things. And we never get everything. There's always something that sneaks through, but you have to constantly keep learning from it. But light, sound, stability, the scenery, make sure that it's interesting to watch, and make sure that you're interesting. And involve the audience. On Facebook, one of the coolest things is you can actually, you're live, people can post a question, you can answer the question right there. That makes it, I mean, that adds a whole new dimension to video.
I mean, engagement, authenticity, bringing people in and creating that connectedness that maybe you didn't have before.
Exactly.
And test. Run a couple of tests ahead of time so that you see what it looks like for yourself, and be critical. And if you need to change something, you need more light, less light, fix it. Change it. Everyone should get better. Every time you should look at it. And sometimes it's painful. We go back and look at one of our episodes and I was like, oh no, did we really do that? But then we'll try and fix it next time.
Some great tips. Vanessa and Mark Lang, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
If you could get 5,000 clients, how would you do it? Scott Janae is going to tell us how next on Hampton Roads Business Weekly. Welcome back to Hampton Roads Business Weekly. We're here with Scott Janae, who owns a couple agencies, Allstate agencies in town. Scott, what's going on, man?
You know, just working on a rainy day.
So what I think is really interesting about what you do is not that you own 2 businesses or a few businesses, not that you've sold 3 businesses over your career, but that you have over 5,000 current customers.
Right.
That's pretty incredible. Tell me a little bit about what it takes to acquire a customer.
Well, to acquire a customer, first and foremost, in my business, what I've learned is that you hire your weaknesses. And so in my case, I may be really good at meeting people and talking to people and getting them on board, but I may not be the best at retaining the customer. So I'm going to hire someone who's even better at that than I would be. And so what I've learned in my business is that the more we invest in those that we brought on board already, and the more time we spend with them, then growing the book or growing the business comes pretty easy, because you know, insurance is insurance. If you have a car, you own a car, you should have insurance. So finding the clients is easy, but retaining the clients is a different story.
So what's involved in investing in your team?
Yeah, so knowing your competition, what they're paying, that's a big one. Having something that's a little bit, you know, above and beyond the curve of. So my biggest competition is going to be large box companies. Because they have a lot more funds, they have a lot more resources, and they can offer a lot more. So I have to be a little bit more flexible with my staff in bringing them on. So for things like PTO, or if they need to call out because of something that just came up, I don't want to dock them for dependability, because we're all human. So things are going to happen. So as far as bringing them on and what, you know, hiring the best staff or the you know, for the job is. And investing in them it's more so investing time. You know, we're going to spend time sitting down and getting to know who they are, and we're going to own our successes, but we're also going to own our failures together.
I think in a different lifetime, people didn't care about that mindset. They didn't care about investing in their team. For someone that still might be on the fence and understanding why they should invest in their team, what would you kind of tell them?
Do it. Invest. You know, you can't spend money any better than on people. And investing in your right staff and the right community, investing in your clients too. It's important to invest in your clients, giving them a place that they enjoy coming to.
Finding 5,000 clients could be difficult.
Right.
What are some of the best ways that you found to land clients?
Yeah, networking is really important. You know, I've been in this business for going on 7 years, and when I first started in this business, I worked for a company that didn't care if I networked or not. And then when I decided to resign and go to the next company, you know, I learned quickly that if I wasn't growing, I was going to be dying. So I had to get out and meet people. So in my business, some of the best people to network with is mortgage lenders and realtors, because you know, we deal with homeowners insurance. So we're going to go with the trend or with the market. And these mortgage lenders and realtors, they need someone that they can count on, so we network. And then the other thing that we do is we get creative on social media. You know, we want to, you know, what separates us from the rest. You know, what's the difference between liability on a Honda with company XYZ versus liability with Allstate? What sets us apart? So it's, you know, we spend a lot of time and a lot of money in being creative, social media networking.
So walk me through a whole networking session. So you go on an event, you meet with 5 people, walk me through kind of how that looks.
So one of the best events that we do every year, we do a couple of times throughout the year, is called Home and Garden Shows. And the reason why we do Home and Garden Shows is because we know that these are homeowners that are coming to this Home and Garden Show to better their homes. And so we take that time and to go out and network with our local community, get to know them, introduce ourselves. One of the tricks that I teach my staff is I said, never carry a business card. And of course, they look at me kind of funny, like, why don't you carry a business card? Because we're also trained to have a business card. And I said, well, if you have a business card, and I said, you give it to someone, what's the likelihood of them actually holding on to it, A, or B, what's the chances of them actually going to that business card and making a phone call? Probably none. But if you ask them for their information and you give them a date and time when you're going to call them, 9 out of 10 times we're going to be able to get a hold of that person. And then all of a sudden we build a relationship from there.
Very cool. Scott, I appreciate your time today.
No problem.
And what I really like about that is that you're not just networking to network, you're going niche into your network and growing that business.
Yep.
Thanks a bunch.
Yeah, no problem.
What's old is new again. Hear the story behind a company that's almost 30 years old and how it works to deliver quality used furniture for your business. That's coming up next. We're talking about reducing, reusing, and recycling with Larry Iverson, the owner of Office Furniture Outlet. Larry, thanks so much for talking with us about your business today.
I appreciate you inviting us.
So this is a passion of yours, I can tell. How did you start your company a couple of decades ago?
Well, we learned that in the office furniture industry, it was mostly going to the landfill after use, and we didn't really like that plan. We decided to research the recycled office furniture industry and realized that the latest numbers that we have is in 1995, office furniture recycled was less than 1% of the new furniture sold every year. And we realized that that had to be improved. Too many companies were throwing it away, putting it in the landfills, and it was just a real nightmare for the office furniture manufacturers as well. So we jumped right in, and I've been doing it for now 28 years. Last year, it's greater than 50% of the office furniture sold is recycled.
So when you started this, you had this passion, you had this desire, but did you have the business skills way in the beginning to make this a company?
No, and I don't think most entrepreneurs do. I think it's trial by fire.
That's the truth, right?
Yes, it is, very much so. But you know, after 28 years, you've learned all the lessons 5 times. And you move through the things that are challenges. I mean, we've been through 3 recessions with this business, and we understand what the highs and lows are, and just you move together and figure it out with your staff.
So as you've gone through those ups and downs over the last few decades, what are some of the things that, when you're talking to somebody new, somebody who wants to get into a business like this, what would you say to them?
Well, I think the key is to plan, and make sure you have enough cash flow already in place to start your business. Most CPAs that I talk to tell me that one of the reasons for business failures is they just don't have enough cash to sustain. And you really need 3 times what most people plan for, and that's based on studies, not just me. And of course, we see this firsthand because we're going in to take out what furniture people have left behind because their business failed and remodeled and other reasons. But so that's what I'd really use as a first starting point is plan.
When I was talking about your industry, it's very hands-on, and you've been able to grow your company to more than 30. But that means you need people who are fairly skilled in what it is that you're creating, which is furniture restoration, woodworking. How hard has that been for you to find people who have the passion, the desire, and the skills to make this happen?
It has been difficult. We are the largest wood shop in Tidewater, and not just for office furniture. We do antiques, and we do a lot of restoration work for other things. But the office furniture side does take a lot of talents in order to make that furniture back to new. And even though we're selling it for 50% of its new value, it looks brand new. So those employees must be very good. It's been very difficult to find those employees or even train them.
And so that's a challenge you're kind of working through now if you want to grow.
Have been the entire 28 years. It's a come and go kind of situation. A perfect example is we had a 78-year-old gentleman that worked he was from Italy, had excellent woodworking skills. He would never take an apprentice because he was trying to keep his talents to himself to earn money for himself. And I understand that in Italy, but in the United States, if we don't have that form of apprenticeship, we lose that talent. And unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago, and all of that talent's gone.
So you talked about connections as well. How important have connections been, relationships been, to help you grow your company? Because if you're still looking for talent, and you're always looking for talent, it sounds like, then the other part of that is creating connections to help grow, so people know that you have this pool of furniture that they can use.
Business networking is obviously a big part of that. Things that you do are also a big part of that. We're a very strong, matter of fact, we just turned into the major sponsor for BizConnect. We feel like local businesses need to make sure we support other local businesses, whether they're startups or they're 28 years old like us. They have to be supportive because it's what's best for our local economy.
Wonderful. And congratulations for growing to where you are, and hopefully 30 more years ahead.
Absolutely.
For you. Larry, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
So you have a product, but now you have to launch it. What are the steps necessary to get it released? Next on Hampton Roads Business Weekly. Welcome back to Hampton Roads Business Weekly. We're here with Sarah Zimmerman of Sumitomo and Regent alum. Sarah, thanks for being with us today.
You're welcome.
How long is a product launch? How long does that take?
So it depends. The most recent one I did took about a year to do. The U.S. government puts out regulations on energy efficiency, and they put out a new regulation. By a certain date, your product had to meet this performance level. So we got the mandate, and we worked on taking our current product and modifying it to meet this new requirement. And from the time we started working on to the product to the time we launched was about a year.
So from the idea that you have it, you start putting together a plan.
Correct.
You have the procedure already because you guys have, over the years, figured out your playbook. Then you start talking with your customers, you realize that this is it. The government also throws a wrench in there a little bit. And then you guys can get it to launch. Tell me a little bit about some of the pieces in the actual launch.
Yeah, so from the concept, from the time that you have to modify your product, then it starts with the engineering process. What can we do to the current product to meet these requirements? Which is a little different. In this case, we weren't going out and getting voice of the customer because we had a mandate from the government to perform to a certain standard. So that eliminated some of the conversations that we have with our customers on the front end design of it. We started communicating with our customers later in the process, but not at the design stage of it. And so basically it starts with our engineering, building models and starting the test. And this particular case, we had to submit the product to an association called the UL, and they tested the product for it to make sure that it complied. So there was that testing period. So with these types of launches, you break rule number one. So you're given a date in project management, and then you have to work to it. True project management is you start with a concept, and then you add your times and come up with an end date. This was the opposite of what project management teaches you.
How does a business put into their business model government regulations, I guess?
Yeah, so that is monitored both by the marketing department in our company and the business development. So these are the types of things that we start to look at. In our company, we join association meetings of a lot of our customers, and we also join association meetings that the government has out. So we go to the association meetings, we pay our dues, we read their announcements and emails, and follow all of our key industries and key associations.
So if you don't do that, it could kill the business, I guess, right?
Yeah, you have to keep your eye on it. So we sell a product that is also can be used in the food and bev industry. So we follow any mandates put out by FDA, for an example.
Is there one slice of a product launch that's the most important?
For me, they're all important. For me personally, but I think one of the lessons that we've learned is you cannot launch till you have everything ready for your sales guys. So we have a standard package that we get together for our sales guys before the product launch, and it includes things like the lead time, price sheets, PowerPoint presentations, brochures, technical documents, so that if there's specific engineering features about the product that they need to be able to explain to a customer, we write what we call a tech document so that they have that information. And so we have, it's all electronic now, but in the old days we used to do it in paper and in binder. But that's basically one of the things that before we will launch a product, all of these steps must be ready.
How do you educate that sales team to be prepared for what to sell?
Yeah, so a couple different ways. We have national sales meeting where all of our sellers will come to a venue, and so some product launches we will hold back and launch it after our sales meeting so that we can talk to them all at one time. Other product launches we've done through webinars, and then we also have done smaller regional meetings where we get the key sellers together.
And what are some of the challenges of getting that many salespeople and to try and sell one product or a line of products?
Yeah, so the one thing that we've learned for us is our sellers are very busy, so when we do a launch, and we are doing it via webinar, we will give them the option of a couple different times so that it can fit into their schedule. And then the other thing that we've started to do is tape the webinars so that if they get busy and they can't attend, or they want to go back and refresh what we said, we've started to tape and keep those.
What's the webinar software that you use?
WebEx software, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Sarah, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And with that, we wrap up another episode of Hampton Roads Business Weekly. Make sure you like us on Facebook and Twitter, then head over to hrbusinessweekly.com to get more information and watch previous shows. For Hampton Roads Business Weekly, I'm Cheryl Tan. We'll see you next week.